Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to both of you for joining us today and for your service to our country. Admiral Rogers, I thank you in particular for visiting with me in my office. I appreciated the opportunity to discuss those important issues. There does have to be a balance struck between achieving our national security goals and protecting the constitutionally guaranteed rights of American citizens. And ultimately, I agree with my friend Senator Udall that, properly understood, these two things are the same thing. Our security lies in our constitutional protections, and so we can't overlook constitutional protections in the interest of national security without compromising a good deal of what is embodied in our national security interests. In our well-intended efforts to recover and move forward past September 11, 2001, we have at times tried to strike a balance in a way that I find troubling. As I've stated before, I have some pretty deep-seated concerns with some of the things that have been revealed in recent months to the public, things that previously were known only to members of Congress and to other people with the right security clearance within the government. I worry about the NSA's surveillance and metadata collection programs and the risks that such programs could pose to the constitutionally protected rights of American citizens. The Fourth Amendment stands to safeguard those rights, and even if one assumes, for purposes of this discussion, that currently the only people employed at the NSA are people with only our best interests at heart, we still run a risk, even if that assumption is made, that at some point in the future, whether it's a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, 10 or 20 years from now, unless we have the right safeguards in place, those powers will be abused. They will be abused with respect to American citizens. And particularly given the fact that NSA's mission is related to foreign intelligence gathering, we need to make sure that we protect American citizens in their constitutionally protected rights. So, Admiral Rogers, if confirmed to this position, how would you work to protect the constitutionally protected rights of American citizens while doing your job?
Yes, sir. I would attempt to be as transparent as possible with the broader nation about what we're doing and why. I would try to ensure a sense of accountability in what the National Security Agency does. We are given, if confirmed, the nation placed a great deal of trust in this organization. It has an incredibly important mission. It's a mission that involves attention in our society, given the fact that the fundamental rights of the individual are so foundational to our very concept of a nation. I welcome a dialogue on this topic. I think it's important for us as a nation. I look forward to being part of that dialogue. And as you and I have previously discussed, I'm committed to trying to be a good partner in that effort.
I understand that a certain level of confidentiality must almost unavoidably surround many of the NSA programs that might be of concern to the American people, to ensure their effectiveness and to keep our enemy actors from working around our systems. But you know, the public has developed a certain distrust of many of those programs. In discussing this concept with Senator McCain a few minutes ago, you mentioned that there might be a range of options available to us. Can you describe what some of those options might look like in balancing the need for confidentiality on the one hand in order to protect our programs and the need for transparency on the other?
I'd be looking at what are the mechanisms we use to assess the value portion of this, and how can we do this potentially in a more public way. I haven't fully formed my own thoughts in this regard, but I think it's something that's incredibly important and that I think is very specific to the duties as the Director of National Security Agency, if confirmed. The ability to be able to lead an honest and open dialogue about just what is the value of these efforts as we try to move forward. As I said, I'm not in the job yet. I need to get much smarter, but I'm committed to doing so.
The President's directed that the government start to transition out of having the government itself hold on to the bulk metadata collected pursuant to Section 215 of the Patriot Act. Can you give me an update on how that process is going and how it might unfold?
Sir, as a nominee, I haven't been part of that process, so I'm not in a position to give you a sense for how it's unfolding. I know it is ongoing. The President set a deadline of the 28th of March, indicating he wanted feedback on how the best way to move forward was. The issue that I have, that's among the many that is important to me as we move forward is this, and we try to figure out what is the best way, is how do we address the idea of speed, the ability to query the data in a way that both protects the rights of the individual, but also enables us to get answers in a quick, reasonable time period.
Thank you. President Obama stated in a speech in January the following. He said, "I've directed the Attorney General to work with the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court so that during this transition period the database can be queried only after a judicial finding or in case of a true emergency." What do you think might constitute a true emergency in this context?
Potential loss of life, hostage, criminal kind of scenarios.
And I assume that in those scenarios there would have to be a time component, an urgency component for that to qualify.
Yes, sir, I would think so.
And not a mere inconvenience to the government personnel involved, but some practical reason that would make it impossible, rather than just inconvenient, to go to the FISA court. Is that your understanding?
Inconvenience is clearly not the standard that's intended here.
Okay. I see my time has expired. Thank you very much, Admiral, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Lee. Senator Manchin.